Avalon.
I'm Sabrina.
And welcome to Fun and Friends.
Yes.
And so, sorry we got this up a little late. We had some technical difficulties where our last video got deleted. Not off of YouTube, but just off of the computer. So I went to go and try and upload it, and it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So
you can check some of that out on our Instagram because we have some behind the scenes stuff. So if you want to see our mess up, go check it out at Fun and Friends on Instagram.
Yeah. One other really quick announcement. We have decided that we're going to start trying to upload videos on Mondays and Thursdays.
Yep.
At least as schedule permits.
Yes.
As we are working girls.
We are
not
working.
In that kind of way, but you know what I mean. And so those will hopefully be up twice a week for you guys to enjoy, along with periodic dog videos and other
random
fun stuff.
Things.
All right, and so we are redoing this, so we already know what's going to happen, but we will talk about it nevertheless.
Yes, I actually kind of forgot because it's just like so much has gone on in this last week.
Well, then it'll be good. We'll have a lot to talk about.
We will.
All right, Chapter 3. The first light of dawn was streaking the night sky with pink and palest green. Stefan watched from the window of his room in the boarding house. He had rented the room specifically because of the trapdoor in the ceiling, a trapdoor that opened onto the widow's walk on the roof above. Just now, that door was open, and a cool, damp breeze blew down the ladder below it. Stefan was fully dressed, but not because he was up early. He had never been to sleep. He just returned from the woods, and a few scraps of wet leaf clung to the side of his boot. He brushed them off fastidiously. The comments of the students yesterday had not escaped him, and he knew that they had been staring at his clothes. He had always dressed in the best, not merely out of vanity, but because it was the right thing to do. His tutor had often said an aristocrat should dress as it benefits his position. If he does not, he is showing contempt for others. Everyone had a place in the world, and his place had once been among nobility. Once. And we had talked about last time that potentially he could have been Prince Stefan from Sleeping Beauty, like jokingly.
Oh yeah, that connection.
Jokingly, but I think later on they go on to explain it. Explain his nobility just a little bit more.
I feel like it would be something from like if he lived in Europe. Like they have lords and ladies and whatever else.
Yeah, and Stefan is a very like
European
name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very.
I'm feeling kind of German vibes there.
Yeah, I was thinking German, Scotland.
Yeah, somewhere,
something like that.
Something in there.
Mm-hmm.
Why was he dwelling on these things? Of course, he had realized that playing the role of a student was likely to bring his own student days back. Now the memories come back thick and fast, as if they were skimming through the pages of a journal, his eyes catching an entry here and there. One flashed before him vividly now, his father's face when Damon had announced he was quitting the university. He would never forget that. He had never seen his father's face so angry. What do you mean you are not going back? Gustave was usually a fair man, but he had a temper, and his elder son brought out the violence in him. Now their son was dabbing his lips with a saffron-colored silk handkerchief.
Tongue twister, huh?
Tongue twister there. I would have thought even you could understand such a simple sentence, Father. Shall I repeat it in Latin for you?
Sassy.
Yeah. Sassy Damon.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yep.
Damon. Stefan began tightly, appalled at his disrespect, but his father interrupted. You're telling me that I, Gustave Conte de Salvatore, will have to face my friends knowing that my son is a scoperato, a ne'er-do-well, an elder who does no useful contribution to Florence? Servants were edging away as Gustave worked himself into a rage. So he's from Italy. Mm-hmm. Damon did not even blink. Apparently, if you can call those fawn on you in hopes that they will lend you money, your friends. Scorpio parasito, cried Gustave, raising his chair. Is it not bad enough that when you were at school you waste my time and my money? Oh yes, I know all about your gambling and jousting and the women, and I know that if it's not for your secretary and your tutors, you would be failing every course. But now you mean to disgrace me utterly, and why? Why? His large hand whipped up to grasp Damon's chin. So that you may return to your hunting and your hawking? Stefan had given his brother credit.
You know what this scene just reminds me of?
Mm-hmm.
Just, I don't know if you've ever seen Gossip Girl, but just how Chuck Bass acts with his dad's money.
I do kind of remember that. But yeah.
Very arrogant and, like, has his ways with, like, alcohol and, like, women and parties and flashy.
Just like, I'm just going to take all the money and not give back.
Yeah, and he doesn't go to college. I don't think he goes to college either in Gossip Girl. That just totally reminded me of Chuck Bass.
Yeah. I think if I remember right, in Gossip Girl, his dad wants him to take over the company.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time since I watched that TV series.
Yes.
I think you're rewatching it right now, right?
I got into the 3rd season, but I just stopped. I'm like, this is so teenagey drama.
It's very teenage drama, right?
Like,
Plus, somebody spoiled the ending. Who Gossip Girl is? Yeah, and so now I'm like, okay.
I mean, I want to know who it is, but don't tell me.
I won't tell you. Unless you want to.
Maybe
After
later.
No spoilers. Stefan had to give his brother credit. Damon did not wince. He stood almost lounging in his father's grasp, every inch in the aristocrat, from the elegantly plain cap on his dark head to the ermine-colored coat on his soft leather shoes. His upper lip was curved in a line of pure arrogance. You've gone too far this time, thought Stefan, watching the two men whose eyes were locked together. Even you won't be able to charm your way out of it this time. But then there was a light step in the study doorway. Stefan had been dazed by the eyes, the color of lapis lazuli, framed with golden brown lashes. It was Catherine. Her father, Baron von Switcherchild, had brought her.
That sounds German.
It does. It does
Very,
sound very German.
German-esque.
Oh, see, look, had brought her from the cold lands of the German princes.
There we go.
To the Italian countryside. You were right.
Wait. So his nobility could be when he got together with Catherine?
Yeah,
because she's a princess?
Well, I'm thinking that his nobility has to do with Italy, and that's why Baron von Switcherchild said it was okay for Catherine to go over there, because they wouldn't just send him to, like, an artisan or anything like that. She would only send it to, like, other nobles.
Right.
If it makes sense.
It does.
So
that's what I was thinking.
That's, I think, where his nobility comes from, is Italy.
Yeah, I would have to. Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Hoping it would help her recover from a prolonged illness, and since the day she had arrived, everything had changed for Stefan. I beg your pardon, I don't mean to intrude. Her voice was soft and clear. She made a slight motion as if to leave. No, don't go stay, Stefan said quickly. He wanted to stay more, to catch her hand, but he didn't dare. Not with their father there. If all he could do was gaze into those jewel-like blue eyes that were raised to his. Yes, stay, Gestapi said, and Stefan saw that his father's thunderous expression had lightened, and that he had released Damon. He stepped forward, straightening the heavy folds of his long fur-trimmed gown. Your father will be returning from his business in the city today. He will be delighted to see you. But your cheeks are pale, little Catherine. You are not ill again, I hope? I know I'm always pale, sir. I don't like to use rouge like the bold Italian girls. You don't need it, Stefan said before he could stop himself, and Catherine smiled at him. She was so beautiful, an ache began in his chest. His father continued. And I see all too little of you during the day. You seldom give us the pleasure of your company till twilight. I have my studies and my devotions in my own room, sir, said Catherine quietly, her lashes dropping. Stefan knew this was not true, but he said nothing. He would never betray Catherine's secret. She looked up at his father again. But I am here now, sir. Yes, that is true. And I must see that tonight we have a very special meal for your father's return. Damon, we will speak later, as Gestape motioned to the servant and strode out. Stefan turned to Catherine in delight. It was seldom that they could speak to each other without the presence of his father or of Gurdon, her stolid German maid. But what Stefan saw was like a blow to his stomach. Catherine was smiling, a little secret smile that she had often shared with him, but she wasn't looking at him, she was looking at Damon. Stefan hated his brother at the moment, hated Damon's dark beauty and grace and sensuality that drew women to him like moths to flame. He wanted in that instant to strike Damon, to smash that beauty to pieces. Instead, he could stand and watch as Catherine moved slowly towards his brother, step by step, her golden brocade gown whispering on the tiled floor. So, he's got it. He's got some jealousy issues.
Oh, I mean, I would.
And it says that he knows the secret. And if I remember right, I think, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say that because for those who haven't actually seen the TV show. Mm-hmm. And even as he watched, Damon held out a hand to Catherine and smiled that cruel smile of triumph. Stefan turned away from the window sharply. Why is he reopening old wounds? But even as he thought it, he drew out the slender gold chain he wore under his shirt. His thumb and forefinger crossed the ring that hung from it. Then he held it up to the light. The little circlet was exquisitely worked in gold, and 5 centuries had not diminished the luster. It was set with one stone, a lapis the size of a little fingernail. Stefan looked at it, then at the heavy-set silver ring with lapis on his own hand. In his chest was a familiar tightness. He could not forget the past, and he didn't really wish to. Despite everything that had happened, he cherished Catherine's memory. But there was one memory he must truly not disturb. One page of the journal he must not return. If he had to relive that horror, the abomination, he would go mad, as he had been mad that day, the final day, when he looked upon his own damnation. Stefan leaned against the window, his forehead pressed to his
she
coolness.
turned him.
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's what he's referring to.
His tutor had said another thing. Evil will never find peace. It may triumph, but it will never find peace. Why had he come to Fell's Church? He had hoped to find peace here, but that was impossible. He would never be accepted. He would never rest, because he was evil, and he couldn't change what he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when she turned him.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think Catherine was his tutor.
Wasn't she for Damon, though?
Oh. We'll have to find out, especially because the book is different. Mm-hmm. It's not the same. Interesting. Elena was up even earlier than usual that morning. She could hear Aunt Judith pottering about her room, getting ready for the shower. Margaret was still fast asleep, curled up like a little mouse in her bed. Elena passed her younger sister's half-open door noiselessly and continued down the hallway to let herself out of the house. The air was fresh and clear this morning. The quince tree, which we need to order quinces,
yes, we do,
was inhabited by the usual jays and sparrows. Elena had gone to bed with a throbbing headache. She lifted her face to the clean blue sky and breathed deeply. She felt much better than she had yesterday. She promised to meet Matt before school, and though she wasn't looking forward to it, she was sure going to be all right. Matt lived only 2 streets away from the high school. It was a simple frame house like all the others on that street, except that maybe a swing on the porch was a little shabbier, the paint was a little more peeled. Matt was already standing outside, and for a moment her heart picked up at the sight of him the way it used to. He was good-looking, there was no doubt about that. Not in the stunning, almost disturbing way that some people were, but in a healthy American way.
The healthy American way.
Well, like, I feel like it's a lot like Captain America versus, like, you know, I'm trying to think of another one that...
Iron Man.
Yeah, even Iron Man is kind of like that. Okay, he's not really wholesome American. I'm thinking like more wholesome American. So yeah, more like Captain America. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking like this disturbingly ugly, or not disturbingly ugly, disturbingly beautiful would be like even the guy who plays Damon, like where it's like he's unsettlingly beautiful, like.
Yeah, with the really, really raven hair and the piercing eyes.
And it's like bright. Where it's like, there's like that wholesomeness to like Matt or like Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, he's kind of cute.
Like
but
the American sweetheart boy.
Chewie, are you coming to join us?
Come join, baby. Come on. Oh, good boy. Good boy. You can lay down. Good boy. Hi, handsome.
Matt Honeycutt was an all-American. His blonde hair was cropped short for football season, and his skin was sunburnt from working outdoors on his grandparents' farm.
I feel like he kind of reminds me of Gary.
Really?
The description.
My husband. He kind of does.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Just like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
that
the
look.
honey blonde hair. And,
yeah. Light eyes.
Yeah.
Pale skin. Yeah, that burns easily. Yeah.
His blue eyes were honest and straightforward, and just today he held out his arms to hug her gently. They were a little sad. You want to come inside? No, let's go for a walk, Elena said. They went side by side without touching. Maples and black walnut trees lined the streets, and the air was still in the morning hush. Elena watched her feet on the wet sidewalk, suddenly feeling uncertain. She didn't know how to start after all. So you still haven't told me about France, he said. Oh, it was great, said Elena. She glanced sideways at him. He was walking on the sidewalk, too. Everything was great, she continued, turning to put some enthusiasm into her voice. The people, the food, everything, it was really... Her voice trailed off, and she laughed nervously. Yeah, I know, great, he finished for her. He stopped and stood looking up at the stuffed tennis shoes. Elena recognized them from the past year. Matt's family barely got by. Maybe he wasn't able to afford new shoes. She looked up at him and to find those steady blue eyes on her face. You know, you look pretty great right now, he said. Elena opened her mouth in dismay, but he was speaking again. It was kind of cute. It's not like I'm dating you because you have all this money type thing. It's more of a I'm dating you because you're just nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
more wholesome.
Yeah.
Not so superficial.
Yeah.
Like a lot of relationships are.
Yeah.
A lot of them are. We're just not comfortable, are we?
I was just moving over a little bit so he could have some more room.
Yeah. Good boy, Chew.
We'll have to get like a puppy cam where we can like
have
it over there so we have an extra screen so you can see Chewy. But
there you go.
He's like, nope.
I don't know about this.
And I guess you'll have something to tell me. She stared at him, and he smiled a crooked, rueful smile. Then he held out his arms again. Oh, Matt, she said, hugging him hard. She stepped back to look into his face. Matt, you're the nicest guy I've ever met, and I don't deserve you.
Oh no.
So
he's getting his toy.
Chewy, leave it. Thank
Come
you.
here.
He brings presents to people that he likes.
Yes,
so he was going to bring Sabrina a present.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want to say something? Are you in front of the microphone now?
Yeah.
Saying hi to everybody who watches the video?
Mm-hmm. Send them lots of love. Huh? You can sit, baby.
Oh, so that's why you're dumping me, said Matt as they started walking again, because I'm too good for you? I should have realized that before. My bad. She punched him in the arm. No, that's not why I'm dumping you. We're going to be friends, right? Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Because that's what I've realized you are. She stopped, looking up at him again. Good friends. Be honest now, Matt. Isn't that how you really feel about me? He looked at her, then rolled his eyes heavenward. Can I plead the fifth on that? He said. As Elena's face fell, he added, It doesn't have anything to do with that new guy, does it? No, Elena said after hesitation and added quickly. I haven't even met him yet. I don't even know him. But you want to? No, don't say it. He put an arm around her gently and turned to her. Come on, let's head towards school. If we have any time, I'll buy you a donut. As they walked, something thrashed in a walnut tree above them. Matt whistled and pointed. Look at that! Biggest crow I've ever seen. Elena looked, but it was already gone. There's that crow again.
That big old crow.
Following him around.
It's definitely a foreshadow of something.
It's either like a foreshadow of like something like dark coming, or it's actually a person in disguise.
Yeah, it's one of the two. It has to be.
Yeah. School that day was merely a convenient place for Elena to review her plan. She had woken up this morning knowing what to do. Today she gathered as much information as she could on the subject of Stefan Salvatore, which wasn't hard because everyone at Robert E. Lee was talking about him. It was common knowledge that he'd some sort of run-in with the admissions secretary yesterday, and today had been called into the principal's office, something about papers. The principal had sent him back to class, after it was rumored a long-distance phone call to Rome, or was it Washington? And everyone seemed to be settled now, officially at last. When Elena arrived at Euro History class that afternoon, she was greeted by a low whistle in the hall. Dick Carter and Tyler Smallwood were loitering there. A couple of prize jerks, she thought, ignoring the whistle and the stirring. They thought being tackle and safety on the varsity football team made them hot stuff. She kept an eye on them as she loitered in the corner herself, refreshing her lipstick and fiddling with her compact. She'd given Bonnie her special instructions, and the plan was ready to be put into effect as soon as Stefan showed up. The compact mirror gave her a wonderful view of the hall behind her. Still, she missed him coming somehow. It was beside her suddenly, and she snapped the compact shut as he passed. She meant to stop him, but something happened before she could. Stefan tensed, or at least there was something about him that seemed wry all of a sudden. Just then, Dick and Tyler stepped in front of the door to the history classroom, blocking the way. World-class jerks, thought Elena. Fuming, she glared at them over Stefan's shoulder. They were enjoying the game, slouching in the doorway, pretending that they were completely blind to Stefan standing there. "Excuse me," was the same tone he used on the history teacher, quiet and detached. Dick and Tyler looked at each other, then all around, as if hearing spirits. "Scusi?" Tyler said in a falsetto. "Scusi me? Me scusi? Jacuzzi?" They both laughed. Elena watched the muscles tighten under the t-shirt in front of her. This was completely unfair. They were both taller than Stefan, and Tyler was twice as broad. "Is there a problem here?" Elena was as startled as the boys were when a new voice came behind her. She turned to see Matt. His blue eyes were hard. Elena bit her lips on a smile as Tyler and Dick moved slowly, resentfully out of the way. Good old Matt, she thought, but now good old Matt was walking into class beside Stefan and she was left following them, staring at the backs of two t-shirts. When they sat down, she slid into the desk behind Stefan, where she could watch him without being watched herself. Her plan would have to wait until after class. Matt was rattling change in his pocket, which meant he wanted to say something. Hey, he began at last uncomfortably. "Those guys, Stefan laughed. It was a bitter sound. "Who am I to judge?" There was more emotion in his voice than Elena had heard before, even when he spoke to Mr. Tanner, and that expression was raw unhappiness. "Anyway, why should I be welcome here?" he finished, almost to himself. "Why shouldn't you be?" Matt had been staring at Stefan, his jaw squared with decision. "Listen," he said. "You were talking about football yesterday. Well, our star wide receiver tore a ligament yesterday afternoon, and we need a replacement. Try it to this afternoon. What do you think?" "Me?" Stefan sounded caught off guard. I don't know if I could." "Can you run?" "Can?" Stefan half turned around toward Matt, and Elena could see a faint smile on his lips. "Yes." "Can you catch?" "Yes." "That's all a wide receiver has to do. I'm the quarterback. If you can catch what I throw and run with it, you can play." "I see." Stefan was actually almost smiling, and through Matt's mouth was as serious as blue eyes were dancing. Astonished at himself, Elena realized she was jealous. There was a warmth between the two boys that shut her out completely. Yeah, they're getting a bromance on. They're having a bromance. She's getting jealous. She's like, "I want that kind of attention. You're getting attention. Attention, please. Attention." At the next instant, Stefan's smile disappeared. He said distinctly, "Thank you, but no, I have other commitments." At that moment, Bonnie and Caroline arrived, and the class started. Throughout Tanner's lecture on Europe, Elena repeated herself. "Hello, I'm Elena Gilbert, and I'm the Senior Welcoming Committee, and I've been assigned to show you around the school. Now, you wouldn't want to get me in trouble, would you, by not letting me do my job?" That last with wide, wistful eyes, but only if he looked like he might try to get out of it. It was virtually foolproof. He was a sucker for maidens who needed to be rescued. Halfway through class, the girl sitting right in front of her passed her a note. Elena opened it and recognized Bonnie's round, childish handwriting. It read, "I kept C away for as long as I could. What happened? Did it work?" Elena looked up to see Bonnie twisted around in her front row seat. Elena pointed to the note and shook her mouth, mouthing, "After class." It seemed a century until Tanner gave them last-minute instructions about oral reports and dismissed them. Then everyone sprang up all at once. "Here it goes," thought Elena with her heart pounding. She stepped squarely into Stefan's path, blocking the aisle so that he couldn't get around her. Just like Dick and Tyler, she felt a hysterical urge to giggle. She looked up and found her eyes exactly on level with his mouth. Her mind went blank. But what was she supposed to say? She opened her mouth, and somehow the words she'd been practicing came tumbling out. "Hi, I'm Elena Gilbert. I'm on the Senior Welcoming Committee, and I've been assigned..." I'm sorry, I don't have time. For a minute, she couldn't believe he was speaking, that he wouldn't even give her a chance to finish. Her mouth went right on with the speech. To show you run the school. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to get to football tryouts. Stefan turned to Matt, who was standing by looking amazed. You said they were right after school, didn't you? Yes, Matt said slowly, but then we better get moving. Maybe you can show me the way. Matt looked harmlessly at Elena, then shrugged. Well, sure, come on. He glanced back once they left. Stefan didn't. Elena found herself looking at a circle of interested observers, including Caroline, who was openly smirking. Elena felt the numbness in her body and the fullness in her throat. She couldn't stand to be here for more than 1 second. She turned and walked as quickly as she had come into the room.
Here's some wrap pizza. You brought pizza. Yeah? Come here. Bring it here.
Okay, well, so
Chapter 3.
Chapter 3 is complete. What did you think?
I like it. I feel like we're getting more of details about each character.
I feel like she's very self-absorbed, and there's a lot more teen drama going on in here than like
you realize
really happens in like high schools. I feel like I don't feel like I would have been embarrassed if somebody was like, "Hey, I have to go to football tryouts. I can't talk to you right now."
Yeah,
like I
wouldn't. That shame.
Yeah, she felt like crying, and I don't think I ever would have felt that way. I mean, even
that has happened to me.
Yeah.
Where like I got the courage to go talk to a guy for the first time, and I'm like, "Hi, and they're like, "Okay, I gotta go." It's like, oh.
Okay. I mean, high school was 10 years ago, so maybe we're
not remembering right.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I feel like just that embarrassment is a little uncalled for.
Maybe. I think it also depends on the person. She's not used to someone dismissing her, especially an attractive guy.
This is true.
She's not used to it, so she doesn't know how to react.
Well, she also has like the ego of like, I don't know, freaking peacock or something.
Yeah, she's definitely like a peacock.
She's like,
look at me, look at me,
look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me.
I'm so cool and pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, there's that, and she did like dump Matt basically for Stefan.
Yeah.
And now they're all buddy-buddy and romantic.
And she's jealous of that because she wants that for her own.
Yeah. Well, not the bromance, but like the
attention.
Yeah, and the relationship. And he's not giving her the time of day at all.
No. And he's only doing it because she looks just like Catherine.
Yeah.
Who broke his heart, basically.
Well, we don't really know that yet. I mean, well, yes, we do, because she chose Damon.
Mm-hmm. She did her little secret smile. With Damon and little flirty in front of Stefan.
Yeah.
So it's like,
which I'm sure did not go over well.
Sure it didn't. Yeah. Caroline was definitely happy that Elena got shut down. Basically.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure because
she feels like she has a chance.
Yeah, because she wants to just basically be queen bee of the school, and
it's not happening.
It's not happening yet. But this, I think, is like a stairway for her.
Mm-hmm. And she feels it. She feels empowered, I think.
Yeah.
She has a chance.
Are you wondering if Caroline's going to be the villain? Because we haven't really come across, like, the villain yet. If it's the Crow, if it's Caroline, who do you think that the villain for this is? Or do you think we haven't come across it yet?
I don't think we're there yet. I just think Caroline is very... She wants a lot.
She's just shady.
Yeah.
Slim shady.
Yeah, basically. She's a little shady. I don't quite trust her, but it reminds me of a relationship I have with someone in real life. I don't quite trust them, but I don't think that they're like an evil person, or that Caroline would become a nasty individual.
Yeah.
Just a little self-absorbed. Yeah. Kind of like Elena, but I guess not like the spotlight's on her type of thing.
She just wants the power.
She wants the power. She's power hungry. That's what I'm looking for. She's power hungry, and she wants attention.
This is reminding me a lot of Gossip Girl from what I can remember. It's like very like I want to grab the power.
Blair and that kid's younger sister. They probably like that back and forth.
Yeah.
Queen Bee. Then when Blair finally graduated,
she finally became the Queen Bee.
But then another girl came in and tried to like take her spot.
I don't even remember that. It's been so long. I just feel like it's a lot of like power grabs.
Yeah. It's kind of like chess.
Well, and like from what I understand from the book, like Bonnie and Caroline and the other chick, I forgot her name, we're like all friends. So like if Caroline succeeds in becoming like the new Queen Bee, do you think that those friends are going to follow her? Or do you think that they're going to continue to follow Elena?
I think there's going to be a divide. They're always a split.
Yeah.
I think that the other friends are going to come at like a tipping point. Who, I guess, is more within their beliefs.
Yeah.
Who matches with their beliefs and their thoughts. I feel like Bonnie definitely looks out for Elena more than Caroline, but we also haven't seen her standing up for Caroline.
Yeah. You mean Bonnie stands up for Elena more than she cares about Caroline?
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I definitely feel like there's a stronger connection between Bonnie and Elena than Bonnie and Caroline.
I agree. Especially because she was trying to hold off Caroline in the hallway so that Elena could get a chance to tuck the stuff in.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like Caroline has like claws out. She's like a little hawk. She's ready to grab.
I'm just wondering, like, what caused her to go from 0 to 60.
Maybe she knows something that we don't know yet.
Maybe
she could. Or
I mean, because the only thing that we've seen to cause her to go like full rage mode was that she wanted Stefan and Elena wanted Stefan, and Elena told her back off, and that was like it. But like, I don't feel like that would.
I feel like Caroline is probably jealous of Elena, so that jealous probably brewed over when Elena's like, "Well, I'm basically challenging her, like, well, who's gonna get Stefan first? Even though I have Matt, it doesn't matter."
Yeah, she's probably like, "You already have Matt. Go be with Matt." Like,
and Elena's like, "No."
She's like, "No, he's a friend. I'm gonna dump him. I want to go be with Stefan."
Basically, and I think that's what really probably triggered her to have such a negative or more strong power grab.
Yeah,
wanting leading. Because I do think that had happened a lot in high school too.
Yeah, I mean, we were not one of the like popular cheerleader types for sure. Like, no. I was like a band geek, and
I was in color guard and theater,
so we were not one of those power grabbing people. But I feel like the people that were, like, from what I remember, like, they were constantly like at each other.
Yeah,
I can name a few, but I'm not going to name anybody here. But yeah,
there's a few.
Some of our old Girl Scout troop, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. There was our old Girl Scout troop was just
There was definitely a divide there. There was like
huge divide.
There was the popular kids on, like, we all grew up together and it was all fine up until we hit high school, and then suddenly there was this huge divide. There was like the popular kids and then the others, and yeah, it just became this huge problem.
Yeah, because they wanted
us out.
They wanted us out, and they were the ones who went to parties and got wasted and probably did drugs and had, early sex and all that stuff, which is no problem.
Yeah, it's just like not what we were into at the time.
Yeah. Our priorities were so different.
Yeah.
We just wanted to have like fun and go to concerts and listen to music and read and we were
much more focused on like going to college and what happens afterwards than like
we were thinking ahead, not in the moment.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Anyways, that's what it kind of reminds me of. Caroline and Elena's relationship.
Well, this will be a short episode.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, sounds good.
I have wet hair, so
we'll probably try and do one more, pre-record it just so that we're ready.
Possibly. Okay. I don't know if I can this week. Other than tomorrow.
Then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Cool. Bye.
Bye.